Hey family, happy Tuesday. Welcome to Excellence in Everything Live. And I gotta be honest, today you are watching a pre-recording because as of tonight, when you see this Tuesday at 8:30 p.m., I will be in Anaheim, California at the National Society of Black Engineers annual convention. I'll be doing a workshop series there on Thursday for all of the students traveling across the country. And I'm really excited about that. But I'm a woman of my word, and I promised I would meet you here every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. So today's segment is pre-recorded. So if you're watching the replay, if you're watching live, say, hey, I'm watching, by the way. While it's not live, I am watching as you watch. And so I just wanted to be honest because you may not see your comments pop up today. So, as you know, this past weekend I hosted the Black Teen Summit. And before I jump into what that was like, today I'm simply going to recap. I'm just going to recap the experience and share with you a very powerful teaching moment that I had the opportunity to give to one of the participants. If you know me by now, you know that I'm very adamant about raising the bar for our kids in terms of like how they think, how they see themselves, what they have the potential to go after, like raising the bar. And so we had a nice little tough conversation with one of the participants post the summit. And I want to share that with you today, as well as some event highlights that you'll get a sneak peek on because you join us for Excellence in Everything Live this Tuesday. So we'll jump into that right after the intro. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence. You amplify a voice of excellence. Your contribution to this world will be of excellence. You will achieve your highest goals and desires with excellence. You are capable of excellence. You have an inner power of excellence. You will achieve excellence in everything, every time. So, for those of you who are just now joining, I'm Linnita Hosten, and I empower high school students to stand on their own 2 feet after graduation. Because the goal is that every student, this is my vision, every student, when they graduate, they're very clear on who they are. They have a plan to develop a level of competency to go after what they want. And as a result of that, they're very competitive for the marketplace, whether they're joining some type of organization, whether they're doing a traditional 9 to 5 corporate job, starting a business, going into the military. Those 3 C's, that's my area of expertise, because ultimately we want our children to make us proud and we want them to be self-sustaining. So I have the privilege of doing that by way of private coaching, which is through the Excellence Academy. And then also I'm often hired to go and speak, which is why I am pre-recording today's session, because I am West Coast as you are watching this. So if we're meeting for the first time, hey, and thank you for joining today's episode of Excellence in Everything Live. I was about to say Teenage Thursday. So this past Saturday, I hosted my very first in-person public event. And people always have been asking me, this isn't the first time you've done an event, which is true, but this is the first time I've hosted my own event that was open to the public. And it was in person. So it was a big deal. And I've been saying this, but the Black Teen Summit was my way of recreating the BET Teen Summit, which I learned was in response to the increase of gang violence and teenage pregnancies during that era. Well, while those topics are not the trending topics for today's teens, the need to still hear them, to provide a safe space for them to like talk and to see other people whom are like them is still necessary. And so this Saturday at the Black Teen Summit, I'll give you a rundown of what we did. We had quite a few guests. We had, if I had to guess, I would say over 70 people in the room. We were really close to capacity. 20 more people, we wouldn't have had room for anyone else. And I was really grateful to see that level of turnout. And okay, so we started off the day with a poet. Her name was Legacy Severe. We'll hear from her in a second. She was powerful. And then we transitioned from that. I did like a little mini opening session And I used an illustration of a sponge, and we'll have some video coming out. It hasn't come yet because we're just what, this is 3 days post event. But just teaching about the importance of like teaching or molding the mind, how it operates like a sponge, literally. And I actually used a sponge for the demonstration. And then after that, we transitioned into a panel discussion. And I loved the panel discussion because I felt like it was an opportunity to not only for the participants to hear from me, but to hear from people who look like them, closer in age, and then people who also speak their language. So I was intentional about who I selected. I selected people who had a heart for particularly for this particular demographic, Black teens, and who are like doing advocacy for this particular group. And so one of the panelists' name is Albert Phillips Jr. And this is what he had to say about the Black Teen Summit this past Saturday.
Black Teen Summit has so much beautiful energy and just a very infectious vibe. I saw young people, stomping their feet, kind of clapping when some of the music part came up. I saw young people who were anxious to share, some who maybe in their body language they wanted to share, but they kind of just, they were a little bit anxious or maybe nervous, so they didn't share out loud. But I could see that all of the information was getting into their soul, getting into their spirit, making them think, right? And that's what's really important. So it was a great holistic event. Black Teen Summit has so much beautiful energy.
Albert was an amazing panelist. He gave a perspective from maybe a millennial standpoint, but like a big brother kind of. The other panelists were college age or like, well, yeah, they were all college age, which gave the participants like a few years ahead of them, like that kind of opportunity to hear from people who are not that much older than them and look like them, likely think like them as well. And so I love that. The panel got we got a little deep. We talked a little bit about sex and relationships, and we talked about the relationships with parents, and then they also talked about their desires, whether they wanted to do a traditional 9 to 5 hybrid model entrepreneurship. So it was good. It was good. Okay, so I had Legacy, who was our poet. I had her. Well, what I learned about her was that when she's invited to do poetry, she crafts it based off of the theme of the day. I didn't know that. So her poems are custom. So I had her talk a little bit about, the meaning behind the poem that she shared. While she's not going to do the poem for you live, I just want you to hear what she had to say about her reasoning behind why she wrote it.
How I wrote this poem first was a question. It started with a question. And I really had to ask myself, what is the meaning of my life? You know, a lot of times we think it's going to work. We think it's just doing different things that the world wants us to do, which is true. But I wanted a deeper meaning. I wanted a deeper definition of why I'm here. And that's what inspired me to write the poem. And I wanted to perform that at the Black Teen Summit because I feel like a lot of my peers, a lot of my generation is asking that question. We're looking for a deeper revelation of who we are and in this society of who we're supposed to become. And in a world where everyone is telling you who to be or who to become, you're constantly looking for this deeper answer like, I don't know if I want to be this. I don't know if I want to be that. Who am I really supposed to be?
And I love that. Legacy was awesome. This is us after the Black Teen Summit. We had a chance to go out to eat. The other two panelists, you can see them here. I promised that I would take them out to eat. And they made me keep my word. Your girl was tired, but I kept my word. And I had a chance to like really listen to what they felt the event was for them. All of them said that they were inspired. They felt like they felt thought provoked by the questions that were asked. They felt a need to continue to be a voice for those who were younger than them. Some expressed the feeling of like being like a role model per se and having a sense of responsibility, not just for themselves, but for modeling progression. And so it was good to see them also be inspired by their own work. Two of them are published authors, Isaiah Jones and Kiara Michelle, who were pictured in the Boomerang. And both of their books are for Black teens. And so it's good to like, it was good to like pour back into them intimately away from the event after the summit. But what I wanted to share, and I won't share who I had this conversation with, but when I reached out to those who were participating, the acts, which I didn't mention, we also had a DJ, DJ Fresh Beats. He's a college student. Everybody was intentionally picked to mirror the demographic I was targeting because I wanted teens to see one, there's no age requirement to doing what you love. Two, someone will pay you or compensate you for doing what you love. You just got to be good. Like the people that I use were referred to me. Someone used them or I saw them at another event and I could see that they were good. And that's so relevant because this whole concept of excellence in everything live is so that I'm giving practical ways that our kids can be confident and competent so that they can be competitive. This is off topic, but I reached out to 6 DJs. And I know DJs personally. I could have just called a friend, but I wanted a teen young adult DJ. Only one of them had a contract ready and was ready to like send an invoice. And so that has a lot to do with your competency of being like a practitioner of the business that you provide. And so the reason why I'm saying this is because I got to put the people that were selected, the DJ, the poet. We also had a rapper, um, and the 2 authors that you saw. I got to put them in front of teens so that the teens could see, like, wow, if I just got serious about the thing that I love, there would be opportunities for me to like showcase that. So that was a sidebar. So what I wanted to share when we were sitting down at lunch after the summit, I took the 3 that you saw. I won't say who this is about, but one of them sent me an invoice for a number that I felt was really low. Now I paid the invoice, but in my mind, I knew that once I had an opportunity to sit down and talk with them, we were going to have the conversation about value. I posted on Instagram earlier last week that you will never be compensated for what you're worth. You will only be compensated for what you ask for. And that's very true, whether you apply it from a spiritual lens or from just a practical lens. People don't know your value. It's your job to articulate that. It's your job to convey that and to ask for it boldly. And so, what I said to the person, I won't say who, I said, I want you to raise your price this year. And you should see them. I'm just going to use them as the pronoun. Shift in their chair. And I said, does that make you uncomfortable? And them said, well, they started justifying why the price is that price. And, well, it's just, and they started explaining what it is. And I said, I totally get it because I felt the same way when my business coach told me that I wasn't charging enough and that I was worth more than what I was asking for. But no one is going to challenge me with that. I'd have to set the bar. So that's what I told her. And oh, I gave it away. That's what I told them. And them asked me, so how much do you think I should charge? And I gave out a number that was like triple the amount that them charged me. And you should have saw them's body language like, oh my God, are you? And I said, yeah. And I said, are you asking or thinking who's going to pay that? And them said, yes, exactly. Who's going to pay that? And I said, this is how the sales conversation should go. When someone inquires about your service, the first thing they're going to ask is, how much does it cost to bring you? You state your price and you say nothing. Let them decide if they can pay it or not. At that point, you go into negotiation. But the very first value that comes out that you articulate should be what you feel you're worth. And so I said, maybe you don't choose the number that I suggested, but I want you to increase it because it's too low. And I reminded them that when you show up to do something, your preparation is what you're being compensated for. When I show up to speak, sometimes it's only 15 minutes, but I've been doing this for 13 years. You're paying for the level of knowledge and expertise that I've gained all this time. And I don't care if it's for 5 minutes. that is what you're compensating me for. Same thing if I'm there for 45 minutes. And I explained that to them. It doesn't matter how long you're doing the thing. What matters is the value associated with them bringing you in and being able to articulate that. And them sat back in their chair and was looking and then sat up and said, "Thank you." And said, "I'm really glad I had a chance to like hang out with you today." And it really affirmed why this work is so passionate for me. Because there are some sharp men and women who, if we don't teach them to value their value, they will be undervalued. And over time, the frustrating part is you never see the fruit of what people see in you because no one taught you to value it. I agree, money is not everything. But if someone values what you have to offer and they're willing to compensate you for it, then you should be prepared to state a number that you feel you're worthy of. And that's when Murray had a little lamb. So as you can tell, like this weekend was powerful. When the pictures and videos come out, I will be sure to share them. But I wanted to use this time to kind of highlight or recap my weekend and to share with you the importance of validating young men and women. They can only be confident, competent, and competitive when we armor them with the tools to do so. And that's what this is all about. Excellence in everything, every time. All right, I gotta go. I got to go finish packing so I can get to Anaheim tomorrow on time. Again, you are watching a pre-recording. By the time you see this, I will be safely, God willing, in Anaheim, California, preparing for the National Society of Black Engineers Convention. But I will be monitoring tonight's live in the chat. And so I'm excited to hear your feedback. And I wanted to say thank you for joining tonight's live. And I will see you next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love you. With nothing you can do about it. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence. You amplify a voice of excellence. Your contribution to this world will be of excellence. You will achieve